World of the international Fab Talks, we connect with wonderful people across the globe who have a lot of talent, experience, and exposure, a lot that's happening around the world. It's always good to have elderly people around you to guide you and inspire you in the right way. And when we, the Fab Talk team, get to know people who have had a vast experience in various fields across various domains, we request them to share their time with us. And when they agree to sharing their time with us, it's a moment of joy. And we celebrate that day as a day of inspiration to one and all. And we feel inspired when we connect with them. Now, dear friends, let me introduce our special guest for today. He is none other than a person who has more than 4 decades of experience on the professional front. Imagine 4 decades and ready to share his journey with us today. I guess maybe about 4 decades. It's not just 4 decades, more than 4 decades, more than 40 plus years. Join us to welcome this gentleman joining us all the way from the lovely city, Mumbai, which is located in Maharashtra, India. He is none other than Mr. Venkatesh Nurani. Let's get to know his life, celebrate his journey today on the International Fab Talks. Hello, sir, and welcome to the session. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for accepting the invitation to the International Fab Talks. Thank you.
Hello, good day to you and to all the viewers. It's actually an honor for me to be present here and to share my experiences with people who would love to grow in their professional and personal lives. I'm extremely thankful to International Fab Talks for giving me this opportunity to be present here and to share my experiences in life. Thank you very much, Christy.
Thank you, sir, for being humble. Thank you for being kind enough to share your time. Dear friends, what we can learn from our guest today is to be egoless, to understand that ego will take you nowhere. Today, I'd like to share the profile of our celebrity and guest. He is none other than Mr. Venkatesh Nurani. He has been spending around about 4 decades in the corporate world. Like, to put it right, he is a corporate leadership trainer with over 4 decades of experience. Let's get to know more about him today. He's also spent 20 years in the training industry. That's really nice. He works with project leaders in various sectors to help them build themselves and become the right inspirational leaders across the world, not only in India, across the world, and to focus on their teams and to give their very best with regard to various projects that they have to complete and to make them achieve their dreams and their dream projects, to make them happy leaders in the industry or in the field that they are. Sir started his career as a secretary in a government organization, and he went on to become the head of the HR and the admin department. That's really nice. When you grow in your career in the right way, that really speaks volumes of who you are. Post-retirement, Sir has embarked on a beautiful journey of empowering more and more people, be it the youngsters, the middle-aged, or the senior citizens. Sir loves to connect with people and enable them to find the leader in them, to find the leadership qualities that are hidden within them. We all are born leaders. It's only that we have to tap out our skills, maybe. Some of them say we are born leaders. Some of them say that we create leaders. No matter what is the debate, Sir is focused on bringing the best out of you, and he enables you to focus on those skills that you could shine in your team as a leader, and thus driving organizations to success, great success. So if you connect with Sir and allow him or enable him to connect with you and teach you the right skills of how to become the right leader in your team, how to take your team forward, how to focus on various projects, definitely you will gain a lot of exposure and experiences and, of course, practical wisdom, to put that right. Join us now to get to know more about Sir's journey on this Fab Talk show. Dear Sir, I've shared something from my side. I'd love you to share something about yourself. How is it that you entered into the field of training, and how is it that you are focusing on this skill, the leadership skill, and empowering so many individuals across the world? Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And well, you have said it all by going through my profile for the benefit of the viewers. What I've actually loved is empowering people, and I did found an academy which is called 3 Academy, where I speak of educate, enlighten, empower. And when I speak of educate, enlighten, empower, I actually start off with the people who are transitioning from the campus into corporate, which is where I start off with educate, because they go through probably some of the toughest challenges that they could probably think of when they are transitioning from a very casual university life to a corporate culture. And when I speak of enlightenment, this is where I actually look at the middle level managers, etc., because these are people who are aware of what is to be done, but do not know how it is to be done. So this is where I actually start off by saying enlightenment is something. What is enlightenment? It's something which is already in us, and which is what we bring to the fore. That is actually enlightenment. And then when I say empower, is when I look at senior level managers and above, probably CXO levels, because these are people who know everything, who've gone through the hard grind, but still they find somewhere that they're lacking in certain things, which actually would help them to become much better leaders. So I help them in tapping those gray areas, as I call it, and then become better and more experienced leaders, thus helping out the people who follow them in their respective organizations, personal levels, and professional lives. This is in brief what I generally say about leadership. And as you rightly said, there is this unending debate about whether leaders are born or whether they are made. But this is something which a lot of people still have not found the right answer yet. Even if they are born, we always say that they always have certain qualities which need to be fine tuned. So that is where leadership trainers, leadership coaches come into effect, where we say that they cut off the raw part of it and make it more finer, like a diamond. So this is exactly what we say is leaders when we say leaders are made.
Really nice. Hats off to you for that wonderful language asset that you have. You have this way of making people understand it in the right way, you know. That's really great. Now, dear sir, you've been in this field for almost 4 decades, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you started off in the government, with the government as being a secretary in the government organization, and then you transitioned to become the head of the HR and admin, etc. If you can share that journey, how did your journey start as a youngster?
I'd probably have to start off from the day I finished my plus two, as they say, PUC or 12th grade or whatever you want to call it. So this is where actually I had an ambition of wanting to become an IITian. I wanted to get educated in IIT, and I wrote the All India Joint Entrance Examination for IIT, and I got a rank, All India rank of 74,
Wow, that's great.
and was awarded a seat in IIT Chennai in corporate computer science. But as they say, I mean, destiny takes you, and you cannot stop destiny. And for whatever reasons, I could not pursue that education. So what I had to do was I had to find a way out how I could get myself into what I love doing. So I joined the government organization when I was just 18-year-old, and I started off, and then this is where I met one of my deputy directors in the organization, with who I was working directly as a secretary. I learned a lesson which actually took me a lot of help and made huge strides in my career. And that is where he taught me the value of time and how I can relate it to an organization. He used to tell me, he said, Venkat, always at the end of the day, rework your figures, look at how much work you've done, and whether you have added value for the amount that you're being paid by the company. And this is something which I probably never ever anticipated nor expected. Probably the reason was I was too young to understand. And secondly, it was just somebody who had just got into corporate or government or an employment and was not very sure what is it to be treated in that manner. So that learning helped me all through my life. That's the first lesson I learned when I was looking at a leadership, or some people say ownership. So that's lesson number one for me, is understand the value that you're adding to an organization. And then post that, and as a youngster, somebody was just getting into organization, I was very ambitious. I wanted to grow. But how do I grow when I don't have the basic minimal education, which people say that you need to be a graduate? So I enrolled myself into evening college, evening classes. I started attending classes, and I did my graduation in maths. And I was somebody who's very fond of numbers. Even today, I'm very fond of numbers. So when I spoke about having completed my graduation, I went back to the boss of my boss and told him that I needed to transition from being a secretary. I wanted to do something more to my liking. And he said, yes, we are a research institute, Venkatesh, and if you want, you can be part of the research team. And that's something which excited me. But again, I felt just doing research without, again, sufficient background from an educational perspective. So I enrolled myself for long distance masters in mathematics. So I did my masters in mathematics. I finished. I did support the research team, and I wanted to move from the administrative cadre to a technical cadre. But unfortunately, there were government restrictions which could not help me to move from from the administration to a technical side. And I felt that I was being curtailed. I was not being pushed up the ladder, as they say it. And I was still about 28, 29-year old and very anxious, very ambitious. So I said, I had just married a couple of years before that. And I told my wife, I said, I'm probably feeling claustrophobic of not being able to grow the way I wanted. She said, what do you plan to do? I said, maybe take up a corporate job. She said, do you think you will be able to do it? I said, well, let's move to another city. That's when I quit my government job without a job in hand. After 11 years, I just quit my job and then went to Delhi. My family was still in Hyderabad, and I went to Delhi, looked for a job, got a job in a small little organization with who I worked for a couple of months. Then I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to work with PepsiCo, which is one of the largest companies in the world. And I joined there as an executive assistant to the executive director. Well, the role could possibly, people would say, executive assistant similar to being a secretary. So, what is the ambition that you have? So, this is where I said there was a difference. Because as an executive assistant, I also had the role to help out in data analytics, which is again basically numbers. So I was coming back to what I love. So I took up the assignment, worked with Pepsi for a few years, for about 5 years to be precise, then got the opportunity to move to Middle East. I started my career in Middle East with a construction company, a very large construction company. And there I realized that this is where my love is, because that is an organization where there were a lot of people working, and I wanted to work with people. I had that flair. Yes, this is what I can do. This is what I want to do in life. So I started working with people from various nationalities. So I had the opportunity to understand the culture, the cultural differences people have, and how we could possibly look at getting them together. So that is my second lesson: is how to get your cultural differences shortened and start living together and working together. Suppose that I moved from that company to another company, which is a large oil and gas engineering, procurement, and construction company called Petrofac. And here I had probably the best time of my life. And with that company, I probably worked close to about 20 years. And here I worked directly with the chief operating officer, the number two in the organizational structure, and where we were executing very large projects worth billions of dollars. And having worked with him as his executive assistant again, I was part of a lot of decision making meetings. I was part of a lot of strategy meetings. I was part of, so you could say, budget decisions being made. I was part of travels to various site locations. And here again, I felt that the moment I went into a site with the chief operating officer, he made a very, very valid point to me, which I would always love to say as part of my HR career is always consider people as your assets. People are our assets. Unless you treat people as your assets, you're not going to value them. So once you start valuing them, you start learning a lot more about them. You start understanding them. And this is where I felt as the qualities that a true leader needs is understand as people. Be transparent in your communication to them, what you're expecting from them, and then lead the path. And every individual, if they honestly believe that you're being very transparent in your communication with them, they will follow you. This is very similar to an example I can give you is we find the sheep going together, and there's always one sheep which leads. And the direction wherever that sheep goes, the rest follow. They don't follow blindly because probably they trust that sheep much more. So this is what is my third lesson is people are our assets. So this is where I started off and almost finished off my career with Petrofac when I was heading HR and admin for their projects in India. And that was a very challenging time and probably the world faced with the largest, probably the most difficult period, which is the COVID. So we all went through that. And that is where I felt that this is something where I actually added value to the lives of people. So when we speak of HR admin head for India projects, I was entrusted with the responsibility of setting up a project office in Gurgaon in Delhi, close to Delhi. And we also had project locations at Rajasthan, which is close to being a desert. Then we had one in the extreme south in Kerala. Then we had one in the eastern part of India, which is Visakhapatnam. So three different territories, three different sets of people, cultural differences. And I had a huge advantage there because I knew Hindi, and being a Kerala descendant, I knew Malayalam because that was requested in Kerala, and I did all my education in Hyderabad, so I knew Telugu. So I was probably the only person who could communicate in all the three languages equally well. So that helped me a great deal in understanding.
Excellent, sir. That's really nice. Thank you for sharing that beautiful journey with us. That's really nice. And not only you have exposure in India, but also you crossed Indian borders as well. That's what you mentioned. That's really
So,
nice. Now, sir, I'd like you to share any childhood incident which is very fresh in your memory. What kind of a child was Venkatesh when he was a young boy below the age of 13? Any fresh memory that you have?
oh, a couple of things always remain in my memory, ever fresh, evergreen memories. As Venkatesh was actually a very, very, what would you call that word? Somebody who's
Shy?
very curious, very curious. No, I was not shy. I was very curious. I was always wanted to learn things, wanted to know a lot of things. So what happened was, I would like to take you back to the day when I started working, going to a school called St. George's Grammar School in Hyderabad. That is where I started my schooling from the fourth standard onwards. Prior to fourth standard, I was at different schools.
Is this
And
located
one thing,
somewhere near King Koti?
yes, it's in Abbots. So St. George's Grammar School was where I did my schooling from fourth to the 10th standard. And St. George's Grammar School actually brought out a lot of things in me. It made me a lot more confident, I mean, I'm able to speak well is primarily because of what I got through from that institution. And when we were studying, I passed out of school in 1978, 79. So when at that period of time, it was more still the ICSE, ISE standards. And we had a huge group of people who would come in from UK and other countries. So communication in English was the prime importance for us. So they instilled, imbibed us in us the qualities how to speak. And I was when I was probably in the seventh grade or eighth grade, I think between those two, I even became the secretary of the English Literary Club,
Wow.
even though there were students from the 10th and 12th grades. So the teachers used to praise me quite a lot for my ability to communicate in English. And when we talk of communication, I think I would rather put that off for a little later when we during the later part of the discussion, what communication today means. So that is one thing. And the other thing which actually helped me in St. George's Grammar School was how well rounded the students became, because we were encouraged to participate in sports. I used to play basketball and I used to play cricket for the school. And that transitioned into me playing, even when I came out of school, when I came into corporate, I started playing first division cricket in Hyderabad. Also had opportunity to go on to become a qualified Ranji Trophy cricket umpire. So I've been very fortunate that the essential foundations were laid at St. George's Grammar School, where we were encouraged. So that's one thing I understood very well. And that is the other thing I learned in that school was how to bond with your school fellows and class. We were, I mean, there were very people from different cultures, different religions, etc. But then when we were at the morning prayers, then at the evening prayers, we all bonded together. Then at lunch, we probably all of us shared one table where each of us just pulled out from the others. I mean, if it was something to their liking, but that actually helped me become a much more rounded personality and help me easily understand the various cultures which we follow as humans.
Yes. So, have you been punished in school anytime?
Well, not to my memory yet, but I would probably need to go back and check with if any of my class fellows, if they remember. But as far as I remember, no, I was always the so-called front bencher and somebody who was very attentive in class. I do not want to be self praising myself, but I've always been in the top five. Even when I finished the 10th grade, I've been in the top five in the school, always.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Now, sir, as a youngster, you might have faced a lot of challenges as we even face it at this age. Now, there are several youngsters in this generation, the Gen Z, they say, they're unable to cope with the challenges that they face at our times, that is the early 70s and 80s and 90s. People were able to, cope with the challenges, or, were ready to adjust, accept the changes in their lives, etc. But today, we find quite a few youngsters who are under depression, who suffer from anxiety issues, or maybe we could call it as mental health issues. They want it all comfortable, cozy for them, ready on the platter. So, what do you have to share with them today? And what is the message you have for the younger generation? How they should face the mental health challenges, which is of very great importance today. We should not ignore this topic anymore and speak openly about it, especially men. They don't speak up about the challenges that they face in their lives. Women, at least they cry it out or say something, or sit with somebody and try to express something, but men have it all trapped within. So what is the message from you? You being a youngster in your years, how did you manage that phase? And what is your message for the youth today?
See, here, one thing is I would not want to differentiate between men and women because challenges are same for everyone. And the challenges that a lot of us actually feel is more to do with our minds. It's what we are exposed to these days and how we retain them in our minds. Let me give you an example. It's not that I have not gone through challenges. It's how we adapted ourselves to those challenges.
Yes, excellent.
It is just a set mindset that people need to understand us. As I say, even in my corporate training programs, is change and challenge are two things which are always going to remain in your lives. They're always going to be constant. Unless you challenge yourselves, unless you're faced with challenges, you will not be able to understand how to get out of such situations. Challenges could be both intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic challenges are things which are not in our control. Intrinsic challenges are those which are within our controls. For example, let's just look at an example. Somebody saying, I'm getting a depression because I'm not getting the job that I love, or I'm not getting the type of a job that I want, or I'm not getting my preferred discipline that I want to study in school or college. I mean, these are some of the basic questions that keep popping up in my. As I said, I mean, going back to my own example, rank 74 in Olmia joint entrance exam in IIT is something which is, people would say, are you mad that you did not take it up? People would definitely say, because that is something people dream about, right? And you're getting computer science in IIT Madras, and that is just the period when computers are just starting to bloom. And this is where I always felt is, see, what is challenge? Okay, that's an extrinsic challenge I had. I had no control on it. But does it stop me from doing what I want? No, it should not. I've got various other avenues to do things. Like I said, I was somebody very fond of maths, numbers. Went ahead, did my graduation in maths, master's in maths. And at the age of 58, 59, let me tell you, is I even did a certification course in HR data analytics from IIM Rohtak at the age of 59. When I mean, people would say, what value does it add to me? Maybe it may not add value to me, but yes, when I do corporate training programs and I have discussions with the business leaders or L&D managers or corporate heads or company owners, I can tell them, go back and look at the data, analyze the data. I said, you want some help? I can help you out. So numbers, so why should you challenges hold you back? I mean, it's just a state of mind. Don't hold yourself back just because there is a challenge. So what? There are so many avenues open. For example, if somebody doesn't get what he wants to study, there are various other subjects which could probably lead you to that. So why do you want to hold yourself from getting into that? And people say, you know, I want to work with Microsoft or Infosys or Dell or probably the large companies, right? What I would actually tell those people who do not get their jobs in those companies is, you've got a job in a smaller organization where there are lesser people. When there are lesser people, you have got more chances to learn and grow. And this is where you need to actually look at is, how do I grow? And for this, actually, a couple of years ago, immediately post-COVID, I actually, along with a niece of mine, we had launched a program called GROW. A lot of people say grow is grow. I said, no. Grow, I had an acronym for that. G stands for get. R stands for ready for. O stands for opportunities at. And W stands for work. So whether you're not working on a large organization, your dream job, it should not stop you. The other place where you've got a job is where you're getting the opportunities for you to grow. Get ready for those opportunities at work. You perform exceptionally well. It's not the end of the road if you don't get your dream job. It's actually the beginning of the road for you. Prove yourself that you are better where you are than just crying over saying, oh, I did not get my dream job. I've been a failure. There's never a failure. Never ever consider anything as a failure. We always say failure is the stepping stone to success. Use your failure as a trampoline. Jump on it and go higher. Take care. You didn't get Microsoft, Infosys, so what? There are so many other companies. And you never know. Probably they may be helping out Microsoft and Infosys with jobs being outsourced to them. So you're working for them indirectly. And prove yourself. You never know. They say probably, hey, this guy is very exceptionally talented. So why not I hire him at a much higher role than what he would have been when he probably did not get his job soon after finishing campus. So look at those things. Don't hold yourself back saying this is a challenge, I'm frustrated. That is, everybody has got a frustration level, but don't let that overrule you in your careers, in your lives, because then you're not what you want to be.
Yes, Mr. Nurani, I get that right. I get that. Now, I'd like to focus on EQ. Now, all leaders should be high on their EQ compared to IQ or maybe whatever the Qs are. But the EQ should be at its height. So if you'd like to share something about emotional quotient, we would really be glad about it.
So when we speak of emotional quotient, it's not that I'm an expert at emotional quotient. I'm being very open about it. But yes, I do know a lot about it because practically I've experienced it. It's when you're a leader, what is expected of you is going to be very emotionally balanced. How emotionally balanced are you? Are you going to let your emotions take over, or are you going to let your leadership qualities take over? Always, I have felt that you should let your emotions be under control when you are a leader, and you need to be a lot more balanced. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Is there are going to be occasions when probably as a leader you feel that your team has not performed the way you want it, or not performed the way you have led them to do it. It's bound to happen because there are always going to be these sort of gaps in understandings. And are you going to be achieving anything if you start getting frustrated, angry, upset with them? No, you're actually going to demoralize them even more. They're going to say, hey, this guy is not emotionally well balanced. He's going to be shouting at me if I do something wrong. So you're going to instill that sense of fear in them. So as a leader, you've got to be emotionally balanced. And what I always say is, I've done a program, master certification program, and what is called the leadership challenge. And one of the qualities there is, which for somebody to practice to become an exemplary leader, we always say encourage the heart. So when somebody does not do well, as a leader, be emotionally balanced and help that person to come out of the situation. And if somebody has done exceptionally well, celebrate that. So that is where you are actually instilling the confidence in them by you being a part of the celebration. So you are emotionally charged up. I am in a mood to celebrate whatever little achievement my team has done. But if my team has not done well, I should take a responsibility as a leader, be more balanced, guide them, saying that, hey, listen, you guys have done your best. But probably we have not looked at it the way we should look at it. Let's correct ourselves, do this again, and we will do much better than what we should be doing. And that is where I always feel that EQ, being mentally, emotionally balanced, actually plays a very big role in a leader helping his team grow.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really, really nice. Now, sir, I'd like you to focus on the environment. Now, you have, spent 4 decades on the professional zone. You might have met different kind of people. You visited different countries. And as a part of our duty, every single individual, we all should contribute to the environment in one way or the other. So on your journey till date, how have you been able to connect with the environment? As a leader, have you been able to, as a training leaders, you being a leader yourself and training others to become the best version of themselves as leaders, have you all even focused on environmental issues or saving the environment in different ways?
Well, to be honest, I have worked in two industries which people say are harmful to the environment. One is Pepsi, because they say the effluents that you let out uh, are harmful. Second is oil and gas. Both at various points in time, they've always said that they're environmentally harmful, they're not good for the environment, etc. Having worked and with very close quarters, I've always felt that this is sort of a myth which the external world believes. See, these companies, whoever work, also have their reputations at stake. So for that, they always take measures to ensure that the environment is protected at all times. So, I mean, when I was with Pepsi, that was probably about 30 years ago. So environment was not as major a hazard as it is considered these days. So I would rather take you to the more recent employment of mine, which is with the oil and gas sector. Yes, we all understand that oil and gas sector does have, people believe, causes a lot of health hazards, environmental hazards, etc. But what people do not also believe or understand the fact is that a lot of these oil companies have got their own sustainability measures which they take. They have these specific programs called environmental and social governance, etc. And I have been part of a lot of such steps wherein we have planted a lot of trees in deserts, which helped in growing greenery across, which also help in ensuring that the potential environmental hazards, I'm not saying they're environmental hazards, the potential environmental hazards through which people get affected are greatly reduced with more and more trees being planted in those areas. And the other thing is, a lot of these oil and gas companies, many of them, are slowly also transitioning into other forms of renewable sources of energy, where you probably have lesser of such environmental hazards. But again, looking at it from a different perspective, why do we only talk about these organizations as people, as humans? What is it that we do for protecting environment, for taking care of environment? So what I have done is, as somebody who's been part of these initiatives while working, is we used to ensure that the environment is kept clean. So when we go to our project site locations, we have these drives of cleanliness, housekeeping, because lot of things people just throw away the plastic bottles across, which is harmful because they get recycled. And then, so we ensure that at most sites we do not allow plastics to be carried at all. People want water, we provide them with flasks, or so that they do not use plastics. So that's one measure which I have taken as part of my corporate journey, is ensure housekeeping, avoid plastics, plant more trees. So these three have been very, very important. And then also what we've done is we also had a lot of CSR activities. We've gone to schools and close to our project sites, grew trees there, planted seedlings there, so that the children could also understand how important it is to grow trees. Because end of the day, they provide us all the relief from the carbon, etc.
That's nice, sir. That's good to know that. Now, sir, I'm really happy that you shared this with regard to the environment. That's really nice. Now, sir, we find many of the senior citizens do not have much savings. They have used it all for their family, to bring up their children, to pay their children's fees, to get them married, for the grandchildren, etc. They haven't ever thought of themselves, a few of them. Or some of them don't have any savings at all. Now, with regard to savings, when should one begin to save in their lives? And should they keep a part of their income, away for their old age? Because you never know, your own family may or may not take care of you, or you have to pay your own expenses, medical bills, etc. We have seen several, senior citizen homes where, elderly parents have been abandoned or just left like that, maybe in bus stops and in railway stations, etc. So it's always good to have savings. What are your thoughts with regard to savings? Because you have a vast experience of the professional zone, you might have seen various professionals spending money or saving money. Over to you, sir.
It's actually very unfortunate that we find people abandoning their elderly parents and elders. I mean, I also say about elder siblings as well, because this is not something which, as humans, we should be looking at. In fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning, and as friends, we also play an important part in taking on our other friends, etc. And I haven't been in touch with a couple of friends for quite some time. And it so happened that this morning I got news about one of my dear friends having passed away about 20 days ago. This is when I said, how come we, as people, why are we losing the human touch? So extending that a little more, as as children, see, I just lost my father a couple of years ago, and he was about 90 when he passed away. And I lost my mother about 10 years ago. And as children, is it not our duty to take care of parents when they have taken care of all our happinesses as kids? Do we ever go back and reminisce those memories, saying, hey, when I wanted an ice cream, did my dad not get me an ice cream? Or I wanted a pair of new shoes, my mom and dad went across and brought me a pair of new shoes. And more often than not, we all probably, I still remember my birthdays. And every birthday, whatever the situation at home, I always had a new dress to wear on my birthday. And I've ensured that my children have it as well, even today. Even though they are well off, they are working, etc. But I still make it a point that is this is the least I could do as a parent. But as a child, what I have realized is it is time for me to take on the responsibility of my parents as well. But how do I do it? See, nowadays children are all probably a lot of them look for working abroad. They think it's always green on the other side of the river. It's understandable. I agree to their thought processes. And the moment they go there, they probably realize, hey, this is much more expensive than what I thought. The costs are much higher, right? But they also forget the fact that today they are alone. But as they were children for their parents, tomorrow they're also going to be parents for someone. But if you've not taken care of your parents, it could come back and bite you. So what I always suggest is, and I'm not a financial planner as such, but there's certain hard lessons I have learned is, come on, maybe we also need to give that benefit of doubt to our children. They're also going to be having families, they're going to have their spouses, children, education, so on and so forth. And it's not a cheap world these days. Everything is expensive. So start saving from the age of say 25 onwards. I have done that to my children. I tell them, say, hey guys, start saving when you're 25. At this point in time, thankfully, I have worked for long, so I can, at this point in time, I can take care of myself for a couple of years more. But you start doing it now because you would need it because you don't know how your children are going to be taking care of you. So start saving at the age of 25, even if they are smaller amounts. And nowadays we have got so many such facilities of mutual funds and SIPs. So you don't need to have a huge amount of one and deposit somewhere. Start little, 5%, 10% of your salary. That's when if somebody is drawing at 25,000 rupees, for example, okay, he or she should be able to spend at least a 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees. Set apart that amount first. Put it as part of your SIP. And then look at spending from the rest of it. So at least every year, every month, you make it a habit of saving 1,000 rupees under SIP. End of the year, it's becoming 12,000 rupees. So in 25 years, let's look at it 25 years later on. With interest, etc., look at where it stands. So by that time, you are 50. Is that going to take care of your life, future life? Possibly, yes, to a large extent. May not be the comforts, etc., because every year, even if you're looking at increasing your share in SIP, it's going to increase in value. The interests are going to get compounded. So start early, save as much as you can. It's not necessary that you save everything and live in challenging times. No, that's not advisable. Look at what is minimum for you to survive and live a happy life without making compromises. But that is after you set apart little amount for your own life in future. Another thing that I always would love to recommend is ensure you have your health insurance plans and life insurance plans, because you never know what's going to hit you, because medical expenses are quite expensive these days. So we need to be prepared. And life insurance, as I said just about a little while ago, about a friend of mine, not too sure if he had life insurance or not. So if he didn't have, I feel very sorry for his family. But if he did have something, at least there is enough support for the family.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing that with regard to savings. Thank you for your suggestions. Thank you very much. Now, sir, what about friends in your life? You mentioned about a friend. Now, sometimes we have friends supporting us. Sometimes we have certain friends backstabbing us, gossiping about us. So you being a man of experience, how would you define friendship from your end?
I'll tell you, I've had friends, and I have had a set of friends with who I've been in touch for the last 45 years. We started off when we were probably in our teens. We still are friends. We still keep in touch on a regular basis. We still keep attending, events in each other's families, weddings, and so on and so forth. That's been a very close set of friends, about half a dozen of them. That's what it is. And then I have a set of school friends with who, yes, I am in touch on an intermittent basis. And if at all I'm traveling to their city where they are, or they come here, we probably meet up probably over a lunch or a dinner or a drink or whatever it is. And then I have a set of trainer friends. So these trainer friends are the ones who I always go back to. That's because there are times, I am not an expert in everything. And as a trainer, I would also have certain challenges, or I may probably be facing certain issues, or I may need some support in activities, etc. This is when I go back to my trainer friends and then ask them, hey guys, this is where it is. We do have trainer groups also, but then again, the groups, I'm part of it. But then my people I fall back is a small group out of that. Because again, as you rightly said, it's difficult to figure out who's going to be a friend, who's going to backstab you. I've had experiences of people backstabbing. I'm not taking any names, nor am I going to be dwelling into it, because I'm going to be ruining my day, as they say. They've done it fine. At least I feel happy that by backstabbing me, if they have got an opportunity to train or to grow up, I'm happy that I've been contributed to their growth. So that's how I look at it. If somebody backstabs me, good luck to them.
Very well answered, sir. Now, sir, this life skill cooking, have you been able to, master the art of cooking? Because you've been traveling to different countries and you've even moved from different states in India, from one place to another in India as well. So did you master this?
Well, that's something I've never ever mastered, nor am I looking to master it at all, honestly. My wife has always traveled with me wherever I've gone. And she's been a great part of my life, great part of my success story, as we call it. And she's always been somebody who's taken care of all of myself, my kids, and my parents whenever they've stayed with us. She's always ensured that she does prepare a hearty meal for all of us. She's very good at cooking, and always keep licking our fingers when she finishes cooking. So she's never given me an opportunity to learn cooking. Yes, my kids do learn it because they are again away from us, but she has taught them how to cook. But I've been pampered, youngest in the family at home, and then I've had a very doting wife. So pampered, spoiled, as they say it.
Yes, I could resonate with you on that. Being pampered as the youngest child, even I was pampered, and that's why my cooking skills aren't good as well. So over to you, sir, once again. Now, sir, how would you want people to remember you? One fine day we leave this earth, all of us, we are no more, but we leave beautiful memories behind. In what way do you want people to remember Mr. Venkatesh Nurani?
See, as I said, you've already started off with my introduction as a leadership trainer or something like that. What I would like to say here is, apart from the 3 E's, which is part of my process in helping people become better leaders, I've always believed in the fourth E, which is the learning I have from my parents, is be ethical. I've always been ethical. You said about backstabbing. I've never done that in my life. And I would never even do that. Why do I need to get to be becoming unethical or being dishonest to myself? People may think, Harry, he has grown up, but am I doing the right thing? It's going to prick me at some time. So I always want to be known as Venkatesh has been somebody who's been ethical while working, who's been ethical while training, and who's always ensured that he excels and feels proud in his trainees, mentees, coaches, excelling his own gurus. Because if you go back to Mahabharata, I mean, a lot of people would probably know Mahabharata, is Dronacharya was the guru, but then there was an Arjuna who was considered better than Dronacharya. So I maybe there was Dronacharya for project leadership training, etc. But I would always want to see more and more Arjuns and Karnas. I would want more and more Ekalavyas to come up. Even if I'm not teaching them directly, they can go through whatever I post on LinkedIn and various social media. If I can help someone become an Ekalavya by just going through my posts, I'm the happiest man. I'm not going to ask my Guru Dakshina of the thumb, but I'm going to feel happier that this person has grown and I've been the beacon of light for his growth.
That's wonderful. That's really nice. Now, sir, what about traveling? You've been traveling across many parts of India and the world. Do you like solo traveling, group traveling? How is it that you enjoy your traveling?
So most of my travels has been with my wife, except when I'm going to conduct some training programs where probably the client may not give me a co-facilitator opportunity. Otherwise, most, if not all of my travels has been with my wife. And sometimes with my kids when they were young, but now that they've grown up, it's going to be a challenge because they work and then it becomes difficult. And when we travel to various places on holiday, for example, we always look for getting ourselves comfortable with a group. We may not travel with a group, but at the destination, we always look to become comfortable with a group because we feel that is where we can share. And there's always this word saying, sharing is caring. So we always share because you are in different foreign land, foreign place. You do not know when you're going to need each other's support. So that's where we start looking for people, like-minded people. It's not necessarily that they need to be from India. It could be from any part of the world. Since I've worked for companies where we had about 90 odd nationalities working, I mean, we are very comfortable with anybody, for that matter.
Excellent, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. So before we go on to the second round called as the rapid fire round, I'd like you to give us a message, a lovely message from Mr. Venkatesh Nurani to all the people across the world, irrespective of age and gender.
That's a difficult thing, huh? Okay. Venkatesh Nurani's message to people is, come what may. Face your challenges, take them up, and overcome them, but never ever compromise your ethics and your values in achieving them.
Excellent. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that beautiful message, sir. That came out spontaneously. That's really very nice. Thank you so much. Now, sir, we have a small segment for another 5 minutes called as the rapid fire round, where you have to answer just in one word or a sentence. May I take another 5 minutes, please?
I stopped quizzing many years ago. Okay.
It's about your likes and dislikes.
No worries. That's fine.
So, now if given a chance to choose freedom or luxury, what would you choose?
I would always choose freedom.
Network or net worth?
Network.
Work?
WORK.
Oh, great. That's really nice. Your favorite color?
It's always been blue. The serene blue, the oceans or the skies.
Yes. Any phobias?
I had phobias of water and heights. And this is where actually something I've missed out saying it is I got trained in NLP and overcame these phobias.
Okay, wow.
And immediately after overcoming these phobias, I went paragliding over a sea in a place called Langkawi in Malaysia. That's been the moment of triumph for me over my phobias.
That's interesting. Interesting. Now, sir, would you prioritize a golden cage or a shack?
I would always go for a shack.
Yes. Now, sir, the next question that comes up. Your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. That's interesting. Well, there was a movie called Pushpak. Not too sure how many people know about it. It is a movie called Pushpak. And people would say, why do you love Pushpak? Pushpak is a movie which is where there is no language spoken at all. It's like the silent movie.
Is it Pushpaka Viman?
Absolutely right. I love that movie because we all talk about being a coach, being a trainer. I always lay emphasis on communication. That movie has given me so much of language, so much of support in my communication training programs, where we say, when as Albert Mehrabian has said, it's only 7% is your language or words. The 55% comes with your body language and 38 comes with your tonality. And that movie clearly emphasizes those facts.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. That's really nice. Now, your favorite food, street food, if I may to ask you that.
Oh, any day, pav bhaji.
Pav bhaji.
Any day.
In your
60
physique, like, I
plus.
mean, walking, jogging, or gymming, or yoga.
Honestly, I don't do any of those. Because as I said, I've played a lot of cricket in my younger days, and probably that has helped me being in good stead even today. Yes, sometimes I do feel that I need to get up and start doing these.
Very honest on that. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Now, among sweets, your favorite one, sir?
Among sweets, my favorite would always be balushai.
As a young student, your favorite subject in school?
Oh, as a young student, even today, my favorite is always mathematics.
Your favorite teacher?
Well, I had quite a few of them, and let me name some of them. This because when I was in nursery and the very primary school, I had a teacher by name Tangam. When I moved to the St. George's Grammar School, I had the primary school headmistress. Her name was Mrs. Devasahayam. Then I had my favorite English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Walters. Then our maths teacher, his name was Mr. Narayanan, who was also the vice principal of the school. Then I had another English teacher. His name was Mr. Purushottam. And Mrs. Walters and Mr. Purushottam, the reason I loved them most was Mrs. Walters taught us poetry. And the way she used to recite poetry was like they say poetry in motion. And Mr. Purushottam used to teach us prose. So he used to be, I mean, he was teaching us Julius Caesar and literally used to enact the whole scene when he was teaching us in school. So by hindsight, if I go back and recollect those memories, still tells me about communication, the body language and the tonality than the language. Because if somebody's talking in Roman, I may not understand Roman, but the body language and the tonality clearly helps me a great deal today.
Yes. Thanks for sharing those beautiful memories with regard to your school and your teachers. Now, sir, are you mom's pet or dad's pet? Like as a kid, were you very close to your mom or dad?
Mom,
Mommy's pet.
absolutely.
Your favorite breakfast?
My favorite breakfast is more often than not I skip breakfast. But yes, whenever I love having continental breakfast. Maybe the It's a mix of a lot of things. So I have idli with probably croissants and the French cakes and so on.
Now, sir, among the 12 months, which is your favorite one?
April.
Any specific reason?
I was
Birthday
born in that
and
month.
oh,
I was
great.
born in that month, and the next month I love most is January because I've got married in that month.
That's really nice. Favorite day of the week?
Favorite day of the week: pre-retirement or post-retirement?
Both.
Pre-retirement used to be Mondays because I was always excited to get back to work. Post-retirement is always Sunday because I laze around.
I
If there
guess
happens to
that,
be a Sunday, I'm not lazing around.
I mean, before you retire, you spoke about your interest on Mondays, like, wanting to go back to work. You were interested on the
Yes.
Mondays. So I just guessed that because, people are very serious and very hardworking. They always focus on Monday. And there are certain people like me who like enjoy the Sunday, the holiday. So I get that. I understood
So it's
that.
Monday morning blues, I guess. A lot of people say that.
Yes, yes. Now, sir, your favorite season?
My favorite season as a kid was rainy season. I love to get out in the rains and play, get wet, soaked wet. And when I was in the Middle East, I probably felt the winters were better because we go through that extreme heat. We always felt because rainy season was something which was missing. But we used to look forward to the winters, say probably some November to February, March. That is the time we used to love.
Yes. So if you were given a chance to choose any one, assume or expect, what would you choose?
I would always expect.
That's better than assuming, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So I get that. Now, sir, you enjoy socializing or you prioritize me time?
It's more a me time nowadays, though I do socialize as well, but occasionally. But it's more a me time because the kids are away, so just my wife and I. So I look at least, even if I'm at home, at least both of us are more comfortable than socializing. But occasionally we do socialize.
Your favorite music, sir?
Well, I'm a little more on the devotional side. So in South India, we have this bhajans and all that. I'm very fond of bhajans. I do participate in a few bhajans. I'm part of a few groups. So I do love going and being a little more religious. Probably age takes over, I guess. Get more
Yes.
spiritual.
Yes. So when you're all alone sitting on a chair with nobody around you, no gadgets as well, you have nothing to do, not even a newspaper in front of you, not a book in front of you. You're just sitting on a chair relaxing. Where do your thoughts take you, into the past, present, or future?
Always the past. My school days, my days when I was probably more excited, used to, as I said, look, think about the rainy days or think about the days when I used to go play cricket, or some days when I probably must have performed very well in a cricket match and then found my name coming out of the newspaper saying, I used to be a bowler, so thinking of those days and used to come in bold saying he's taken so many wickets in this game and so on. So I always go back to those little days and the time I spent with my friends, with who it's a lot more different now because each one has got his own priorities and everybody's in different places. But yes, I then go back to those memories.
Yes. So now, if you happen to meet the Almighty, what is the question that you will ask the Almighty?
I'm not going to ask a question because I don't think I am empowered to ask the Almighty a question.
Wow.
He's a know all. He's a know all. So I would only tell him one thing is said, just ensure that your children down below are all well taken care of. Eradicate the poverty, eradicate the enmity that people have. Let everyone live a peaceful, harmonious life. That's all I would tell him to do that. I would not ask him to do it. It's he's the father, so it's his role to take care of that.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Very humble of you. Now, sir, maybe know your blood group.
Mine is be positive.
Be positive.
Absolutely.
That's really nice. That's really very interesting. Now, sir, on this journey of so many years in the professional zone, amongst all of them, which is very close to your heart, the best gift that you've ever received till date?
Yeah, to be honest, is I've always felt proud when the organizations have called me and invited me and onto the stage, and they may not have honored me with great awards and things like that, but when they've spoken highly of me, and I always felt that yeah, trophies, etc., are good rewards to look at, but the words always remain in your hearts with what is being spoken about. That's one of the other thing I always remember still is when I was leaving Pepsi, and we had the New Year's Eve just before that, and that was when I was asked by the MD of the organization to cut the cake. I mean, that I felt was an honor because generally people don't look forward to somebody who's resigning and leaving the organization, but here I was told to cut the cake. So that was an honor for me. And one, when I come back to my sports thing, is I've had the occasion to meet the 1983 World Cup winning captain Kapil Dev, and I was actually playing in a tournament in Delhi, and he had come over as a chief guest. And then after I finished a particular match, he just came and put the cap on my head.
Wow.
And that is something which is still a very proud moment. But unfortunately, I do not have photographs of that. Otherwise, I would have probably put it anywhere, everywhere. But that was a moment for me to remember all my life.
That's really nice, sir. Thank you for sharing those beautiful experiences. What is that one thing you love about that special person, Mr. Venkatesh Nurani?
Venkatesh Nurani, the person I love, is he is honest, ethical, and does not, and I would rather put it in bold, italics, whichever you want, compromise on his values. For me, if I lose my values, I'm not respected. And I want to be respected for my values the most.
That's really nice. Excellent. Now, sir, one last question before we sum up. How would you define a day? We all have 24 hours. How would you define a day for you? How would you want your day to be? Just in one word.
Busy.
Excellent. That's really nice, sir. So towards the end of the session, I would like to request you to share with us 3 gifts in the form of 3 words. Apart from please, sorry, and thank you, you could share any 3 empowering words with us. Nevertheless, you've shared such a lot of insight into how we could be the better version of ourselves and be better leaders. But as a takeaway for the Fab Talk team, I'd like you to share 3 magical words that could inspire us in the right way. The first 3 words that come to your mind.
Just words, or it could be a sort of a.
It could be a sort of a sentence or a phrase or just words.
Take up challenges.
Take up challenges.
Overcome them. Be grateful to who you are.
That's really great. That's wonderful. That's really nice. Thank you so much, sir. We are very grateful to you for sharing your time today with us, for being kind enough to make us understand how we can take our lives forward by sharing your experiences and the message that you've given all of us. Thank you so much. We look forward to many more interactions with you in the near future as well.
Just one thing I wanted to tell you before we finish off.
Yes, please.
The title for today's awareness and the importance on perseverance, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
When we talk of perseverance, I mean, this is something I wanted to start off in the initial stages itself. I said I studied in St. George's Grammar School, and the motto of our school was Perseverantia omnia vincit.
Wow.
Which actually means persevere and you will succeed. I've actually missed it out when I started off, and I suddenly recollected that this is something I wanted to give it back to everybody who's going to be watching this video.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. So, my dear friends, you've got the message here. Whatever you do, do it with consistency and perseverance. Definitely you will succeed. And if you'd like to connect with our celebrity and guest, Mr. Venkatesh Nurani, you could connect with him. So we'll agree to share his details with us such that we put it up in the description where you can connect with him to become better leaders and to lead the world in the right way. Thank you so much, sir. Looking forward to many more.
Appreciate having me on the show, and they can connect me with on LinkedIn, and the LinkedIn is Venkatesh Nurani. So they can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I would be more than happy to help people grow.
Definitely.
Thank you so much to you and the Fabtalks team. Appreciate having me on this, and I sincerely believe that we are all looking for a better world than what we probably are at this point in time. So let's all make this a better place to live. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you for being humble. Thank you for being a kind person. You're a blessing to the universe.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. My dear friends, with this, we'd like to sign off now from the International Fab Talks. If you like what the International Fab Talk team is doing, do share this video with the right kind of people. If you like what the International Fab Talk team is doing, stay connected with us. Like, comment, subscribe, and share to the International Fab Talks. And above all, don't forget to take up all the challenges in your life and be ready for the change. And grow in every way possible. And take risks, the right kind of risks. And be a leader no matter what field you choose. Thank you so much. Stay blessed and stay connected. Thank you, sir.